The complete works of Josephus. We are in Antiquities of the Jews, Book 2, Chapter 10, and it says the following. How Moses made war with the Ethiopians. Moses, therefore, when he was born and brought up in the foregoing manner, and came to the age of maturity, made his virtue manifest to the Egyptians, and showed that he was born for the bringing them down and raising the Israelites. And the occasion he laid hold of was this: the Ethiopians, who were next neighbors to the Egyptians, made an inroad into their country, which they seized upon and carried off the effects of the Egyptians, who in their rage fought against them and revenged the affronts they had received from them. But being overcome in battle, some of them were slain, and the rest ran away in a shameful manner, and by that means saved themselves. Whereupon the Ethiopians followed after them in the pursuit, and thinking that it would be a mark of cowardice if they did not subdue all Egypt, they went on to subdue the rest with great vehemence. And when they had tasted the sweets of the country, they never left off the persecution of the war. And as the nearest parts had not courage enough at first to fight with them, they proceeded as far as Memphis and the sea itself, while not one of the cities was able to oppose them. Now, this right here is just read from the book of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, Book 2, Chapter 10, subtitled How Moses Made War with the Ethiopians. Now, going to sit there and jump from that in the same chapter, mind you, and going to go in part 2, where it says, starting off, if you're following, says, so Moses, but we're going to move on to part of it for time purposes. It says the following. When he had therefore proceeded thus on his journey, he came upon the Ethiopians before they expected him, and, joining battle with them, he beat them and deprived them of the hopes they had of success against the Egyptians, and went on to overthrowing their cities, and indeed made a great slaughter of these Ethiopians. Now, this is speaking about Moses being a general inside the Egyptian army and going against the Ethiopians in battle when the Ethiopians had came against the Egyptians. Now, when the Egyptian army had once tasted of this prosperous success by the means of Moses, they did not slacken their diligence, insomuch that the Ethiopians were in danger of being reduced to slavery and all sorts of destruction, and at length they retired to Saba, which was a royal city of Ethiopia, which Cambyses afterwards named Meroe, after the name of his own sister. So one of the things to point out is this Cambyses is talking about the Persians, but the author Josephus is going back and forth in history concerning this. So now he's going to go back and talking about what happened with the situation with Moses. Right? Now let's go on. It says, however, while Moses was uneasy at the armies lying idle, for the enemies durst not come to battle, this accident happened. Tharbis. Now I want you to sit there and pay attention to this part, please. Tharbis was the daughter of the king of the Ethiopians. She happened to see Moses as he led the army near the walls, and fought with great courage, and admiring the subtlety of his undertakings, and believing him to be the author of the Egyptian success, when they had before despaired the covering their liberty, and to be the occasion of the great danger of the Ethiopians were in, when they had before boasted of their great achievements. She fell deeply in love with him. She, Tharbis, fell in love with him, Moses. All right, so that way we can gain the following understanding. It says she fell deeply in love with him, and upon the prevalency of that passion, sent to him the most faithful of all her servants to discourse with him about their marriage. I want you to sit there and see what's going on here. It says what? About their marriage, the marriage between Moses and an Ethiopian woman. It says what? Following along. He therefore accepted the offer on condition she would produce the delivering up of the city, and gave her the assurance of an oath to take her to his wife. See, I want to sit there and emphasize on this because it speaks about, it says, and what? And gave her the assurance of an oath. That is the promise, a swear thing, right? To take her to his wife. And that when he had once taken possession of the city, he would not break his oath to her. No sooner was the agreement made that it took effect immediately. And when Moses had cut off the Ethiopians, he gave thanks to God and consummated his marriage and led the Egyptians back to their own land. So this right here is in the book of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, book 2, chapter 10, subtitle, How Moses Made War with the Ethiopians. So when you correlate that in the Bible, in Numbers chapter 12, when it says that Moses took an Ethiopian woman to wife, that right there just goes to show you that the book of Josephus here gives a description on how their particular marriage happened. It was what you may call a political marriage due to war or so forth and so on. But regardless of that aspect, it was a situation in which he had an Ethiopian as his wife. So that woman was Tharbis, as we've seen here in Josephus, and not Zipporah. That was another wife who was a Midian woman. All right, so Moses had two wives. So just want to sit there and make this point. All right, shalom.